Hey guys, welcome to Living It Up. Welcome to a very new segment, Living It Up Raw. You guys have been asking for it for a long time, for more onboard footage, for more raw experience of how I feel on a motorcycle as I ride it, kind of like the Daytona days, yeah? So we have taken the plunge and here we are. And the very first motorcycle that we'll be reviewing on this segment is this. This is the Yezdi Roadster. This is what completes the lineup. And first impressions, I love the way it looks. I mean, look at it. I love especially the blue color. I so wish they had a similar glossy, sparkly yellow color on the Scrambler. If you have not seen the video, please click on the link above because you have to see it. But yeah, that's the motorcycle. I absolutely love the way it looks, and let's see what she can do. Alright, so as soon as you get on board, you realize that this has the makings of a really good city bike, because the seat height is low at 790 mm is the lowest among all the Yezdis, which makes it very easy for you to put your feet firmly on the ground. It's also 184 kgs weight, which is on the lighter side for you to move it around in the parking lot. The clutch is nice and light to operate. Also in terms of wheelbase, now for a motorcycle which is 1440 millimeters, it's quite easy to turn. The turning radius, as you can see, is actually quite short, which is great. Then you have the ergonomics. They're nice and comfortable and upright. The handlebar is wide enough to help you slide through traffic. But more importantly is the engine. I think it's best suited among all the Yezdis for commuting. Now this is the same 334cc liquid cooled unit as you have seen on the Scrambler or the Adventure. It's in a slightly different state of tune. This one makes 29.7 PS, 29 Newton meters of torque. In terms of mid-range, yeah, the Scrambler makes a little more mid-range, but then this one still has enough to make it more tractable. I mean, yeah, it will not feel as peppy, as responsive lower down, but then it has enough poke to see you putter around in the city easily in the fourth gear, as long as, right now we're in the fourth gear, so as long as you're keeping the reps above 2500 RPM. And it, as you can see, really gets going above, yeah baby, 6000 RPM. But then that's when you also start feeling the vibes. You can feel them creep in around 4500 RPM, and for some reason they are a lot more apparent on the foot pegs on this compared to the Scrambler or the Adventure. Now you're not going to really mind them when you are here in the mountains attacking corners and making the most of the 174 mm of ground clearance that you have at your disposal. But if you're on the highway and just want to cruise, they can get really annoying. Now again, in the 5th and the 6th gear, they're not as much of a problem. They get dampened out, but then you will have to downshift for those fast overtakes on the highway. Because unlike the Adventure, this one doesn't have the same amount of top and grunt, and also it's still just as loud when you're closer to the ceiling. So yeah, for the long highway runs, this would not be my pick from the Yezdi lineup, even though it has a lot of things going for it. Like for example,
You don't mind shifting because the 6-speed transmission is nice and slick. You mainly get alloy wheels on this with tubeless tires, so the fact that this one doesn't get a main stand doesn't sting you as much. The mirrors, they not only look cool but give you a very good idea about what's happening behind you, and they also, with the added weight, help dampen out the vibrations from the handlebar. The braking as solid as ever, just like on the Scrambler and Adventure. You get a 320mm disc up front, you get steel braided lines, you get sintered pads to ensure that you can put all the stopping power down, even though you get a single setting of ABS, unlike the 3 settings which you get on the Adventure and the Scrambler. With the backrest, you'll definitely get brownie points from your better half, because the short rides would be nice and comfortable. But yeah, anything higher, above 200 kilometers, I would not recommend, because the ergonomics, the way you sit on the motorcycle, you stay seated in the same position without moving, and that makes your butt go numb after about 200 odd kilometers. And that's also the range. 200 to 220 kilometers is what you can expect from this 12.5 liter tank. But I think the Achilles heel of the Roadster when it comes to anything above 200 kilometers is mainly the suspension.
So if you look here, you have an 18-inch front, which is obviously going to help you tackle with the rough stuff a little bit better. But then in terms of suspension setup, especially the shock, this is very similar to what we have seen on the Scrambler, with the rebound being pretty high, which kicks you out of the seat. Now on the Scrambler, you could still understand because it was a motorcycle meant to go off-road. But for this, it doesn't really make sense, because this is definitely not going off-road. It's meant to go on the road, on the paved path. And then the solution which worked for us on the Scrambler is not going to apply here, because this one, as you can see, has linear springs, whereas that one has progressive springs, which allowed us to basically add some preload, move the suspension in the higher part of the stroke, so that the rebound was not as high. But on this, that's not really going to work. So the Roadster definitely needs softer springs or progressive springs to make it more comfortable while riding on the highway. But other than that, if you're in the market for a motorcycle which looks good, which sounds good, I love the way this sounds. I think it's easily one of the best sounding single cylinder motorcycles out there, which is comfortable enough and also which can double up as a really fun companion for short sprints and a quick trip to the mountains like we are doing today. And the fact that it has a very competitive 2.02 lakh price tag, I think it has the makings of a really good motorcycle to live with. And that is apparent from the fact that this is already the highest selling motorcycle in the Yezdi lineup. So there you have it, guys. That's my first raw impression review of the Yezdi Roadster. Let us know what you think of this format, what we should do better. Hit us up in the comment section and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Until then, thank you so much for watching, and watch out for more interesting content on Living It Up Raw. Ciao.